Okay, so let's go ahead and start hooking up the Treeview. And the first thing I need to do is make sure that Treeview is bound in my program. So here's the Treeview in PyGubu, and I'm going to give this an ID, and I'll call this showTree. And save. And then in my GUI code, up here where I'm storing those things as properties, self dot, let's call it tree equal builder dot get object show tree parent. And then in the other files in the database and show, I was making the properties look private by putting underscores in front of them, and I haven't been doing that. So let's go ahead and refactor, rename builder to be underbuilder, and genre combo to be under genre combo. Same here. Same here, just to be consistent. And I don't think that broke anything, so let's go ahead and try running it. The code all looks good, all looks like it has underscores, so okay, so that looks good. Okay, now let's go ahead and start working on the database part. So what happens is when the user selects a type, a genre, or changes the content in that entry box, we want to get the values and fetch the data from the database. And so I'm going to have a function called fetch shows. Let's put that right here, because it happens after the genres are selected and before we showed the IMDB stuff. So fetch shows. And that's going to get called when the user changes the selection in the combo box. Or in the type box. And then we need to deal with an event binding for typing values in the entry. So let's go ahead and make that work. So this min votes entry, I need to add a binding for it. So here's the min votes entry. And under bindings, I think I want a key release event. So every time a keystroke happens, let's go ahead and tkinter entry key release event. And I don't want return. Key press and key release. So I think it's angle key release. Yeah, you don't need that stuff. Okay. Let me just search for that. Okay, so Google doesn't like searching for those things. This just has one angle bracket here. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a shot and see what happens. So I'm going to call min votes changed, and then save. Should just be get for that. And then we'll call self.fetchShows. And let's go ahead and see if that worked. Okay, so select the genre, select the type, and then I'm going to start typing. So no, that isn't working. So it really was only one set of angle brackets. So save, run. And that's working. Okay, so yeah, every time I type into the box, I get one of those events. And then in fetch shows, I want to get my values and then pass them on to a show method, show.fetchShows. And I want to pass in the current genre and the current type, and the current min votes, but before I do that, I actually want to do a little processing on min votes entry. So because I want to cap it at 1,000 or more, and that's really a user interface thing rather than a database thing. So what I'm going to do is min votes is equal to this, and I'm going to put that inside of a try except block in case there's not a valid string in there. So if it's except min votes is 1,000, and I'm going to float that up here. So if they've typed a valid number, min votes will be that number. If they haven't typed a valid number, min votes is going to be 1,000. And then here, if min votes less than 1,000, min votes equals 1,000. So min votes will always be 1,000 or more. And then that's what I'm going to pass in here. So now in show, in my show class, I'm going to have a static method fetch shows, and it's going to take a genre, a type, and a min votes, and it's just going to return the value from database.fetchShows. Okay, and then in database, let's go ahead and add another class method. And then this is going to do the database query. So we need class genre type min votes. And let's just start with a simple SQL statement. So I'm going to need the show class as a wrapper. And my SQL is like so. Now, if you look in IMDB browser, there's an example of what that query looks like. And I'm doing this so you don't have to write the query yourself because you might not have had any SQL courses yet. Oh, so database. So here's an example of what the correct query looks like. And I'm going to paste that in here and then uncomment it. All right. So basically, I'm getting an ID for each show, the title of the show, the type of the show, movie, TV episode, and so on, the year the show started being produced, the average rating, and the number of votes. So these are going to be the properties that I want to have in my show class. And then this is called a join statement, and it's a way of stitching together multiple tables. Don't need to worry about it particularly. The important bit is here. Num votes is going to be greater than or equal to a parameter that I supply. And genre is going to be equal to a parameter that I supply. And title type is going to be equal to a parameter that I supply. So when I execute the query, I'm going to supply values for those parameters and get back the results. So I'm going to do the same thing I did up here. So let me go ahead and copy that. So I'm going to connect to the database. If I'm not already connected, I'm going to make a cursor. I'm going to execute my statement. This takes 3 parameters, so I go ahead and supply genre, type, and min votes as those parameters. And then here I'm going to do shows. So show is cursor.fetch1 while shows is append a new show. And then instead of just passing in show sub 0, which is the first thing, I actually want to pass in all of these things. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so my constructor is going to have to take 7 parameters. And then let's make the constructor for show. I'm going to go ahead and copy that because that's going to be the order of my parameters. So here's an init method. So the values are tconst, primary title, title type, start year, average rating, and num votes. And I need def there. Okay. And then the code itself is just going to store these values on the object. So self dot under tconst self dot under primary title dot under title type Okay, so that will initialize my object. And if I have done everything right, I should have an array of show objects coming back in here. So let's do shows is equal to show.fetchShows, import show. And then let me just go ahead and put a breakpoint right there and see what I get. Okay, so let's go ahead and select adventure and movie, and 10,000 is fine. So I actually got an error here. My SQL execute is not right. So I think this is just a comma separated list of parameters, not an array in this. So let's try that again. Conversion failed when converting the nvarchar value animation to data type int. Genre type minvotes. Oh, but num votes first, and then genre, and then type. So I got those out of order in the SQL statement. There we go. Okay, so now let's try it. Adventure movies. Row index out of range 6. 0, 1, 2. So I think I have an extra parameter there. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I counted this twice. So this goes up to 5. Adventure movie 50,000 votes. Okay, so no errors. Let's go ahead and put the breakpoint in there. Let me get rid of all these. So run it under the debugger now. Put a breakpoint there. Adventure. Continue. And then movie. So these shows should all be show objects that are adventure movies. So shows, I got 50 of them. That's the right number. So Lord of the Rings. So rating 8.9, num votes, that looks right. Primary title, start year, tconst, and title type is movie. So looks good. Interstellar, 8.6, 2014. So all of these properties look like they're in the right slots, and it looks like these are the right results. And then I have that coming back here in my fetch shows method on the interface. So now I just need to configure the Treeview and then dump this data in the Treeview. So I have to actually do some work to set the Treeview up here. Let me go ahead and exit there. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the Treeview in the next video and then insert the data.